Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Chaiva Narottamam.
Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jnanam Udirayet.
Tato Jayamudire.
Nashta Praneshu Bhadreshu.
Nastapranayeshu Bhagreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtaki.
Bhagavati Naishtaki.
Hare Krishna. I thank Jai Prabhu for giving me the opportunity to give a class today. So I believe we are in chapter 1 in Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 12. Is that right? Sorry, Canto 1, chapter 12. You need a bookmark it, my brother. Is it bookmarked? Thank you. See, I'm a dentist. I expect everything to be done for me. Thank you, brother.
That's the truth.
This is the truth. So we're reading from text 33 today. All right, I have to give up my vanity and put on my reading glasses. Tad abhipretam alaksya.
Tad abhipretam alaksya.
Brataro chittakodija.
Brataro achyutakodija.
Dhanam prahinam ajarur.
Dhanam prahinam ajarur.
Udichyam disi bhurisha.
Udichyam disi bhurisha.
Tadapi prenam alaksya.
Tadapi pretam alaksya.
Brataro chittakodita.
Brataro achyutakodita.
Dhanam prahinam ajarur.
Dhanam prahinam ajarur.
Udichyam disi bhurisha.
Udichyam disi bhurisha.
Tadapi pretam alaksya.
Tadapi pretam alaksya.
Brataro achyuchodita.
Brataro chittakodita. Dhanam prahinam ajarur.
Udichyam disi bhurisha.
Udichyam disi bhurisha.
Tad abhipretam alaksya.
Tadapi pretam alaksya.
Brataro achyutakodita.
Brataro chittakodita.
Dhanam prahinamajaru
Danam prahinam ajaru
Udityam dishi burisha
Udicham dishiburisha
Tadavi
Tadapi pretamalaksya
Pratarochuta choditaha
Danam prahinam ajaru Udicham dishiburisha
Tadapi pretamalaksya
Prataro chuta choditaha Danam prahinam ajaru
Udityam
Udicham dishiburisha Tat his Abhipretam wishes of the mind Alakshya observing Ratara his brothers Achyuta the infallible Lord Sri Krishna
The infallible Lord Shri Krishna
Chodita being advised by
being advised by
Danam riches Prahinam to collect Ajaru brought about Udicham northern Dishi direction Burisha sufficient Translation Understanding the hearty wishes of the king, his brothers, as advised by the infallible Lord Krishna, collected sufficient riches from the north, left by King Maruta. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaja Maruta, one of the great emperors of the world, he reigned over the world long before the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira. He was the son of Maharaj Abhikshit and was a great devotee of the sun god known as Yamaraj. His brother Samvarta was a rival priest of the great Brihaspati, the learned priest of the demigods. He conducted one sacrifice called Sankara Yajna, by which the Lord was so satisfied that he was pleased to hand over to him the charge of a mountain peak of gold. This peak of gold is somewhere in the Himalayan mountains, and modern adventurers may try to find it there. He was so powerful an emperor that at the day's end of sacrifice, the demigods from other planets like Indra, Chandra, and Brihaspati used to visit his palace. And because he had the gold peak at his disposal, he had sufficient gold in his possession. The canopy of the sacrificial altar was completely made of gold. In his daily performances of the sacrificial ceremonies, some of the inhabitants of the Vayuloka area planets were invited to expedite the cooking work of the ceremony. And the assembly of the demigods in the ceremony was led by Vishwadeva. By his constant pious work, he was able to drive out all kinds of disease in the jurisdiction of his kingdom. And the inhabitants of higher planets like Devaloka and Pitraloka were pleased with him for his great sacrificial ceremonies. Every day he used to give in charity to the learned brahmanas such things as beddings, seats, conveyances, and sufficient quantities of gold. Because of munificent charities and performance of innumerable sacrifices, the king of heaven, Indradeva, was fully satisfied with him and always wished for his welfare. Due to his pious activities, he remained a young man throughout his life and reigned over the world for 1,000 years, surrounded by his satisfied subjects, ministers, legitimate wife, sons, and brothers. Even Lord Sri Krishna praised his spirit of pious activities. He handed over his only daughter to Maharishi Angira, and by his good blessings, he was elevated to the kingdom of heaven. First of all, he wanted to offer the priesthood of his sacrifices to learned Brihaspati. But the demigod refused to accept the post because of the king's being a human being, a man of this earth. He was very sorry for this, but on the advice of Narada Muni, he appointed Samartha to the post. and he was successful in his mission. The success of a particular type of sacrifice completely depends on the priest in charge. In this age, all kinds of sacrifice are forbidden because there is no learned priest amongst the so-called brahmanas who go by the false notion of becoming sons of brahmanas without brahminical qualifications. In the age of Kali, therefore, only one kind of sacrifice is recommended, Sankirtan Yajna, as inaugurated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamayam Tadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Gita Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhudevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Once again, thank you all for allowing me to present from the Granthara Shrimadbhagavatam. Seeing all of you really makes me feel very inadequate. You all give class here on a regular basis, and I feel very underqualified. But with your blessing, my hope is that, after more discussion, because of the content, not because of me, we have a real understanding of what this verse is all about in the broader context of service, of sacrifice, and of the importance of this Sankirtan Yajna. With Gaura Purnima being only 2 days away, I think it's very important we talk about this Sankirtan Yajna as well. So, let me bring this to my closer to me because I really can't see. Okay, all right. So, let's talk about service first. Let's talk about this verse. So, this is Maharaj Yudhishthira after the battle of Kurukshetra. It's ended, and the outcome of the war is, of course, that the Pandavas have won the war. So Maharaj Yudhishthira, he is the king now. So one would think he is very happy, right? If we were a king of the whole world, you would think that we would be very happy. Power, fame, wealth, he has it all. Externally, seems like he has everything. And he is desiring to perform this horse sacrifice, Ashwamedha Yajna. Typically, when a king wants to perform this Ashwamedha Yajna, it's really to assert their power or assert their sovereignty, that they are now the ruler of the whole world. Or they do it to expand their kingdom, or to show military prowess. Something of that nature, typically. Maharaj Yudhishthira is doing it for a different reason, though. The world's leaders today, if they take a page of Maharaj Yudhishthira, it'd be so great. Maharaj Yudhishthira is doing this Ashwamedha Yajna because he is feeling the weight of all the things that are going on in his kingdom. He's feeling the weight of all the sin he feels he has committed from killing all these souls in this battle of Kurukshetra. Could you imagine if our leaders would feel just the weight of the world for the things that are going on in their country. Their citizens are suffering. What do the politicians do? They just look for their constituents. They have no interest in their citizens. This is our situation in the world. But he is promoting this Ashwamedha, which is, as we found from the previous verse, not a small task. It's not a really easy thing to do. And he is the ruler, the leader of the complete full world. And he has anxiety because why? He doesn't have enough money to do the Ashwamedha. And he's feeling anxiety. So he has to somehow get enough wealth to go and do this sacrifice. This verse, it says, Tad abhi pretam alaksya, the first line. Observing the wishes of the mind, of his mind. So, who is observing the wishes of whose mind? So, the Pandavas, the brothers, are observing the wishes of Maharaj Yudhishthira. They could understand the anxiety he was going through without even asking him. They could feel what was going on. And just because they observed the wishes of his mind without even him saying what to do, what they do, they perceive his need and they address it. So where do they go? They go and look for this mountain made of gold. Because who told them to? Who gave them instruction? They go on their own instruction?
Krishna.
Chuta, right? Infallible. Krishna gives instruction. When we try to do things, what do we do? Whose instruction do we take? I take my own instruction. More times than not, that's what I do. But Vaishnava culture, intuitively, service is part of the Vaishnava culture. The Pandavas only want to serve their brother. Most times, if you have brothers in the kingdom, what happens?
Fighting.
They fight each other, right? In fact, they kill each other sometimes. Here, the brothers they want Yudhishthira to be the king. They have no interest in taking. Bhima doesn't want the kingdom. Arjuna doesn't want to be the king. They only want to serve Yudhishthira. This is the etiquette of Vaishnavas. Intuitive service. And if they want recognition for doing this service, they don't look for any recognition. When I do service, I want someone to make sure that they know I did it. Where's my name? Is it in the paper? Is it on the wall? I did the service. Make sure everyone knows. These brothers served Maharaj Yudhishthira without even being asked. And they weren't micromanaged. They weren't given, Yudhishthira didn't say, here, guys, do this, this, and this. No detailed checklist. They understood the desire of their superior, and they acted. So, when I read this, PJ, when I read this verse, I immediately thought of, when I think about myself. And I thought of what things have I done that have shown exemplary service. I couldn't find any. But I could think of things I had done that showed the opposite of exemplary service. So I remember my first time coming to temple to do some service. Unlike all of you, I didn't want to come do service. I just wanted to come eat prasadam. Although the problem was also a service, I found out later. But that was not my intent. I came to a temple to eat prasadam. That was my goal. And maybe meet some nice friendly devotees. That was kind of my thing to do. And then to get me to come every week, my good friend Nitish Prabhu gave me a service. He called it service. I think he gave me a job, basically. But he said, these utensils are always in a mixed up order. He said, you have to put the forks over here, the spoons over here, this over there. I'm like, okay, I can do that. I didn't want to do it. And it probably told me once or twice. I think it told me once I did that. Probably 4 times. I don't know. I can't remember. But my thought was never to just do service intuitively. I was not like, hey, let me do service here. But this is how the brothers did. And look at Prabhupada's life. How different is his life? What did he do? If you think about it, in 1922, young Abhay Charan met a spiritual master. The spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave him a very simple instruction. He said, go to the West, teach the world because you speak English well. Go to the West and preach to the West. And he said, okay, here's a 20-point plan. Here's your funding. What did he say? He gave no instruction, no detailed plan, just one statement. And did he tell him 10, 20 times? One time. My wife would be happy she told me one time I did something. That's not the case. 20 times at least. One time. Didn't repeat himself. But Prabhupada didn't hear it as a mere suggestion. He heard it as his life's mission. And, think about his life. For decades, business failures, family responsibilities, personal struggle, the instruction never left his heart. And I think of, when all these things, Guru Maharaj never said, have you done it yet? What's going on? He just gave him the instruction, that was it. But at the age of almost 70 years old, he took upon the path of going to the West, taking a couple of his Shrimadbhagavatam books on a bottom of a cargo ship, and he went to the West because the spiritual master desired it, and so he did it. This is the spirit of this verse. Real service is not waiting to be told twice. Real service is hearing it once, taking it to heart, and then fulfilling that service. So this is the kind of service we see in this verse from the Pandavas to their brother. And then let's talk about sacrifice. So in this verse we talk about the glories of Maharaj Maruta, who I had never heard of before until reading this verse. So Prabhupada really elaborates extensively in his purport about the glories of Maharaj Maruta. So powerful was he that who came? Indra, Chandra, Brahaspati would all visit his palace. I mean, the human being is visited by demigods. He's so wealthy that his sacrificial canopy was made of gold. He had in possession a golden mountain peak in the Himalayas. Demigods surrounded him all the time. He had a kingdom free of disease, all disease. There's no disease in his kingdom. He reigned for a mere short time, 1,000 years. And he remained youthful throughout his life. You ever see pictures of presidents when they start their presidency and leave their presidency? In a mere 8 years, they've lost all their youth. Here, Maharaj Maruta, 1,000 years of reign. He didn't lose his youth. And who praised him? Even Krishna praised him. This is the glories of Maharaj Maruta. But what is really striking, honestly, is when you see how much opulence he had. What was his sole focus? His only sacrifice. He had really everything, but he was still sacrificed, which makes him really extraordinary. When someone has everything, what do? They just kind of do nothing, they kind of enjoy. But here, he is sacrificed. So this is real sacrifice. Real sacrifice is giving when you can keep everything. Real renunciation is not to give up something you don't have. Real sacrifice is to give up something you could easily keep. And Maharaj Buddha did not perform sacrifice to become wealthy. He was already wealthy. He didn't really need any prestige. He was already a king. So why was he doing this? Because he knew that everything he had belonged to the Supreme Lord. So this was his sacrifice. Instead of becoming intoxicated by this opulence, he actually converted his opulence into worship. So this is the principle. Sometimes we think renunciation means having nothing. But true renunciation, once again, means having everything and still offering it. And it's really an example. We think, abundance is bad. Abundance itself is not bad. What is bad? Attachment to abundance is the obstacle. So when wealth is seen as Krishna's, then no matter what opulence we have, it becomes an instrument to actually our devotional service. So, and I think of, once again, every time I read these things, I always think of something of my own life. So, this whole concept of wealth is very interesting. What's everyone strive for in this world? We all strive to be wealthy. And when we're a kid, we think wealthy is $50,000. $50,000, I'll be so wealthy. You make that much money, like, okay, I want to make $100,000. That's wealth. You want to make $1 million, and you make that, you're like, I want to make 10 million. It never ends. We're never happy with wealth. So I remember reading this, I'm like, wow, Maharaj moved on a mountain of gold. He must have been doing pretty good. I don't know, a mountain of gold, but yet he's still giving sacrifice. I remember, and the interesting thing about when you give sacrifice, what happens is actually Krishna rewards you even more. So in 2014, I remember the TOVP was doing their fundraising, and they came to all the temples, and they came to Detroit Temple, and I was thinking to myself, okay, all right, I need to give something, because that's the right thing to do. I have to give something. But I was so nervous about giving anything, because I was like, if I give this, I may never get it back. How am I going to do if I give this, I don't get it back? And so when I decided to give what I felt to me was a large amount of money. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give a large amount of money. And I was getting nervous and all, okay, let's just do it. I'm just going to give it. And so I gave the money, and before I was even able to, I was doing it in a payment type of thing. And before, like even the third payment I had to make, I was, in my business I was doing, I got a profit sharing bonus of exactly the amount, with a little bit more than I actually gave. So I was like, that's crazy. But this is the amazing way that if we realize we just sacrifice, there's no real sacrifice. It's all Krishna's anyways. So what are we really giving? And when we think about this, we can see the principle in Prabhupada's life. You know, Prabhupada, before leaving India, he was a pharmacist, right? Pretty successful pharmacist. He was not some broke down man. He was pretty successful. He knew how to earn money. And he could have really lived comfortably. He didn't have to do what he did. But because of what his Guru Maharaj said, he decided whatever wealth he had, whatever wealth he made, it would go directly to Krishna's service. If you look at his life, you think back how he personally financed the publishing of Back to Godhead magazine, which still exists today. He published it himself. He would actually go and take it and travel and give it everywhere by himself. The whole process was funded by him. And if he every time made money, he wouldn't put it in his pocket. He would print more. And when he came to America, whatever donations he got, he received, immediately reinvested in books and the building of temples. And towards the end of his life, he was getting thousands and thousands of dollars, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars he was getting from donations and his printing of his books. And just think, he used none of that for his own personal comfort. Everything was put back into Krishna's service. Once again, Prabhupada's life shows real sacrifice. Shows every day to convert not just his wealth, but all of his resources into an offering for Krishna. Just like Maharaj Bhutta and the Pandavas. Now let's read this last paragraph of this. I'll read this last paragraph again. And I read this. Now this is really profound. Alright, so the success of a particular type of sacrifice completely depends on the priest in charge. In this age, all kinds of sacrifice are forbidden because there is no learned priest amongst the so-called Brahmanas, who go by the false notion of becoming sons of Brahmanas without Brahminical qualification. In the age of Kali, therefore, only one kind of sacrifice is recommended, Sankirtan Yajna, as inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the success of a particular type of sacrifice is completely depends on the priest in charge. I thought this is just a profound statement. So to perform a yajna, one has to be qualified. But in this age, no one's qualified. So there are no qualified priests for such a grand Vedic sacrifice. The so-called Brahmanas, they don't even have any permanent qualification, Prabhupada writes in the purport. So what are we supposed to do in this age of Kali Yuga? No one's qualified. What do? Sankirtan Yagya. Only one type of sacrifice is recommended. Sankirtan Yagya. As given in Shrimadbhagavatam 11.5.32. Krishna Varnam, Krishnam, Sango Pangastra Parsadam, Yagna Sankirtana Prayer, Yajanti Husomedasaha. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. The intelligent worship the Lord in Kali Yuga through Sankirtan Yagya. And who inaugurated the Sankirtan movement? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Better get that one right. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And look at Mahaprabhu's life. Even Mahaprabhu's life. Externally, he had everything. He was very intelligent, scholarship, right? He was very smart. His reputation, very high reputation. He was Nimai Pandit due to his mastery of Sanskrit. Family affection. He had a loving wife and a loving mother. No one was forcing him to renounce. But he really saw the deeper meaning, the deeper need, in this world, that only through this holy name can we make progress to yoga. And he took it upon himself to spread this holy name everywhere. So to do this, he decided at age 24 to make the ultimate sacrifice and accept sannyas. He didn't renounce, once again, he didn't renounce because he had no other choice. He renounced because he wanted to show to the world the importance of this Sankirtan Yagya. He wanted to give the holy name to everyone, regardless of their qualifications. Once again, this is real sacrifice. And, Gaur Purnima is just 2 days away. And we look at this verse, and Pandavas have to gather wealth for Maharaj Yudhishthira for this Ashwamedha Yajna. So what is the wealth that we are asked to gather today? What is the wealth that we are being asked to gather? There's no gold to gather from the north. The only wealth we really have is this holy name. And this holy name, we have the wealth. We have the gold right here in the holy name. And is it in our capacity to share this holy name with others? This is the gold we have to share. And this is service. Let me ask you, what is real service? Real service, once again, is doing service without being told. It is hearing the order from a senior devotee or guru just once and taking it to heart and fulfilling it. I see service every day in this temple by all the devotees here. It's amazing. It's very, very powerful to see all this service. Yesterday I was here, and I was watching our dear Madhava Mataji making sweets in the temple by herself, just enjoying so much service. She's here all the time doing service. And all of you, everyone here, I see all the, like Ajay Prabhu, Mamatsani, Krishna Prabhu, you're here all the time doing whatever service is required. And the service you're doing is service you're doing without being told by anyone. Or if you're told, you're not told multiple times. I do service, I have to be told multiple times to do it. That's my service. I give service to other devotees so they can tell me over and over again. That's their service. So, but we take the service, we take the order, and we fulfill it. That is real service. And real sacrifice, we chant attentively. That is real sacrifice. When we come together for kirtan, that is real sacrifice. When we step out of our comfort zone a little bit and invite someone to the temple, or we give them a Bhagavad Gita, or we participate in Sankirtan out in the streets, this is real sacrifice. So we need to ask ourselves, when was the last time we chanted attentively? When was the last time we came together for some kirtan? When was the last time we stepped out of our comfort zone to invite someone to the temple or give someone Bhagavad Gita? I ask myself the same question too. I'm asking you to ask. Don't ask your friend, ask yourself. When's the last time I did this? And only we can answer that for ourselves. So, once again, Gaur Purnima is coming up in 2 days. We really don't have to know what to offer. Mahaprabhu has already told us what to offer. In this age, what's the only sacrifice worth sacrifice? What's the only sacrifice there is? Sankirtan Yajna. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam. Kalau Nastyeva, 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 Gatir Anyatha. So in conclusion, I'm going to ask, let me just ask, let's make a pact here. We're a small group here. Can we all make a pact today? What do you say? No one's going to say anything until I say what it is. In honor of Gaur Purnima, let's make a pact. Let's make a pact to increase our attentive chanting. Let's make a pact to increase our gratitude. Let's make a pact to increase our unity in the temple, into each other. And let's make a pact to surrender completely to Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this age of Kali, this mountain peak of gold actually exists, and it's the holy name. It's given to us because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, and of course the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice to hear class. Service and sacrifice. Importance of service and sacrifice.
The importance of service and Sankirtan, yes. Do you have any thoughts, anything you want to add, Prabhu? You are Mr. Service.
It's all the mercy of Radhakrishna. Nothing on me.
Very true. See, I'm so bad I tore the cover off this book.
No, it was already like that.
Anyone have any thoughts or... Yes, Mataji.
How to sacrifice Sanskrit?
What is that? Once again, how to?
Sacrifice Sanskrit.
How to sacrifice, how to give up sense gratification. So all these things that, the answer is always very simple. The answer is always very basic. When we do sense gratification, we are thinking that this is a very, very high level of enjoyment. And if we don't know anything better than that, that's all we can think. At one point, all of us had some level of material enjoyment we can't even taste anymore, right? Something we used to do all the time that would make us happy. And now we look at that and be like, that is like the most banal, most boring thing I can think of doing. And why is that? Why did that happen? Anyone want to share something that they do that they don't do anymore? I know you want to be out here, but I can share one. I used to be a big watcher of sports. And believe me, I still watch now. I gotta give it up completely, but the thought of watching a full day of football from 1 p.m. to like 10 p.m. midnight, I can't even imagine that anymore. I would just say, what am I doing with my life? But at one point, that was it. Sunday was my day to do that. And so, why did that change? Just like anything else, we started picking up something that brought more enjoyment. It's very hard to give up $1,000 if you think $1,000 is a lot of money. But if someone gives you $100,000, you're glad to give $1,000 to take $100,000. They're going to see more value. Similarly, when we think sense enjoyment is very, very enticing or exciting, we are giving up the Supreme Lord and the transcendental joy for a very small amount of enjoyment. But if we don't believe it's a small amount of enjoyment, we won't give it up. or we don't believe that the transcendental loving service of the Lord is a high enjoyment, we won't take it.
Higher taste.
So, like you give a child a lollipop, $100 bill, the child will take a lollipop. They don't understand the value of a $100 bill. So similarly, if we understand the value of devotional service, of bhakti yoga, we will not partake in sense gratification. Now, easier said than done, because I'll be honest, I haven't surrendered yet. If I had surrendered already, I wouldn't have any inkling for material enjoyment. So we all have our path, and we all are going on the same path. And if you just, and I always, anyone asks, I always say, don't think of what's going on today. Think of yourself from 5 years ago and see what has happened till now. And you'll see you've made a lot of progress. We've all made a lot of progress over time. And to keep judging ourselves every day of what we're not doing, it's not a very good concept for you to make success. But you don't have to always pretend like you're doing great. I'm always great. No, you have to have a healthy balance of both of them. So hopefully that was helpful, Mataji. Nice question. Anyone else have any questions or thoughts? Yes, bro.
I just thought, I felt what you shared was very practical. And, it was like to the point. So it was helpful. It helped me like kind of stay with the class. Wow. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. So the beauty of giving class is that you all may have learned something, but I learned a lot. So this is the advantage of giving class versus listening to class. So the real enjoyment of verses is actually reading the verse and studying and all these things. So if you really want to learn the verse, you can give class next time. But then you'll really enjoy the verse. So
I like to say that. Let's see.
Okay.
I know you probably prepared for some time, but it's been many years. For me, I think I still have to follow those things.
no, it takes me many years to prepare for one class. So, it does. Any other questions or thoughts? Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Madhuri Shukla ki
Jai.